Okay, this video goes with homework 67 in geometry, and we are talking about solving triangle proportions. So the first thing we need to do here is look at this yellow diagram, and a few of our proportion rules are as follows. So A over B equals E over F with our side links there. A over A plus B equals C over D. So that's saying that if we take this side plus the whole side, over the whole side, so that would be A plus B is that whole side right here. That is equal to the same proportion as our parallel line portions. And our other one that I have on our notes is E over E plus F, also equals C over D. And you can see in the same way that if we take E and set it over E plus F right there, that's going to be the same as A over A plus B. So essentially these two proportions are the exact same. I just label them differently so that we don't get confused when we're doing some homework. So let's try this on this problem down here. We need to find X and Y. So the first thing we need to ask is, well, what proportion do we use? And if we're trying to find X, we're on the outside, right? We're not using our parallel line, so let's use this proportion right here. So this would be 5 over 12 equals 4 over X. Not too bad, but then we need to solve for X. And we've talked about in class needing to cross multiply like this. And that's really the same thing as if I was to take both sides by X, multiply, and both sides multiplied by 12. Because if we have fractions and we want to get rid of them, we multiply the entire equation by what's on the bottom of the fraction. And here we've got our 12s, they divide to 1, and our x's divide to 1. And so we end up with 5 times x equals 4 times 12, or 5x equals 48. And from here we just divide. X equals 48 over 5. Okay, so we've got that one. Now we need to figure out how we're going to find y. And I'm going to say let's use our 5 and our 12 again. So that puts us right over here with our second proportion. So we're going to take 5, which is our A, over 5 plus 12, which is our A plus B, equals C over D, which is y over 15. All right, so 5 over 5 plus 12, let's simplify that. That's 5 over 17 equals y over 15. Now to solve for y, remember we said if we want to get rid of our fractions, we just multiply what's on the bottom. So let's multiply both sides by 15 here. Those multiply to 1 right there. And so we end up with 75 over 17 is our y. Okay, so you might be saying, okay, well, that one's pretty easy, but let's talk about one where we actually need to multiply some binomials together. So our diagram is the exact same as it was back here, and we have the exact same proportions as we did. So now we're looking at this being our information, and we need to figure out what proportions to use. So I'm just going to go through and actually label these. We'll label this E, F, C, D. And then I'm going to label my information up here the same way. So AB is side A, BC side B, AD is E, and DE is F. So now looking at this, we know that we don't even need, I'm going to flip back to this last page, we don't need either of these equations, okay? Because we don't need C and D. We only are looking for E and F on this. So let's go ahead and set this up. Remember, it is A over B equals E over F. So A over B is, of course, these two right here. So x plus 4 over 2x minus 1 equals E over F, which is x plus 6 over 3x minus 2. Okay. Now, some of you thought, okay, I don't mind multiplying those other numbers, but when it gets to these binomials, that gets freaky, right? Well, just remember the same exact rule. If we have fractions, we want to get rid of them, we just multiply the entire equation by what's on the bottom of our fractions. So we're going to multiply this side by 3x minus 2 and this side by 3x minus 2. I'm going to break this down like very detailed steps. So if you need to, you can fast forward here. But now I'm going to just know that those two cancel. We've got 3x minus 2 times x plus 4 on this side. And we still have got this 2x minus 1 on the bottom. And that's equal to x plus 6 over here. Okay, now we need to multiply by 2x minus 1 to get rid of that 2x minus 1 there. I'm going to multiply by that there. They'll cancel here. We end up with 3x minus 2 times x plus 4 equals x plus 6 times 2x minus 1. And now we need to FOIL. So this is going back to some of our algebra review. Got 3x squared plus 12x minus 2x minus 8 equals 2x squared minus x plus 12x minus 6. Simplify this. I'm going to just subtract everything over and combine all my like terms in the same step here. So we'll be left with x squared. We've got 10x on the left side and 11x here. So I believe this is going to be a negative x. We add 6 over, negative 2 equals 0. And then we need to factor this. So what two things? Multiply to negative 2 and add to negative 1. I'm going to draw an arrow here so I don't run out of room. I'm going to bring this guy right up here. Okay. X squared minus x minus 2 equals 0. 2 parentheses equals 0, of course. X minus 2 and x plus 1. Negative 2 times positive 1 is a negative 2 right here. And negative 2 plus 1 is a negative 1x. So it works perfectly. So x here equals 2 and negative 1. So now what do we do with this x equals information? Well, we need to plug it back into our little equations here so that we can decide what our side lengths are. We might not need to use this negative one. Always check it and see if you need to, but if we plug this in, I'm looking specifically at BC right here. If we plug a negative 1 in for that 2, we're going to end up with negative 2 minus 1, which equals negative 3, and we can't have a negative distance. So I'm going to say that negative 1 is not going to be a valid option for us here. So make sure you're checking that. Don't just put both of these in. And as you go through and are solving these problems, that's going to make sense, okay? Plugging those answers back in. But at this point here, we need to figure out what our options are with x equals 2. So if x equals 2, AB now, I'm just going to write these in on my diagram. AB now is 6, BC is 3, AD is 8, and DE is 4. So, and you can see that these are directly proportional. 3 times 2 is 6. This is just extra. This isn't something that I'm really talking about a lot. And then 4 times 2 is 8. So this is how we set up these proportions. I may do another video doing some more factoring, like our algebra factoring with a coefficient with our x squared. So that's a number other than 1 with our x squared. Just because I know that that's someplace that we need to be working on a little bit more, so we're confident and can do these problems without being too afraid, because really the new information about this is just getting it into this proportion here, okay? Everything else should be some review, and if that is review, then we won't be scared of these ones.